Hi,
Morning.
still waiting for people to join up here.
Hello, everybody.
Morning.
How many people didn't get the invitation from Zoom?
I did not.
I did not either. I got one from you.
Yeah, no, I had to resend it. Again,
That's typically the way I get the invitations from my meetings out is I'll just copy the invitation and send it out by email. That seems to be the most reliable.
that's what I had to do. That's what I'm going to probably do from now on. I will send it out through Zoom, then I'll resend it through my own email. People are still coming on board here, so.
Isn't this fun? DJ, can you hear me?
Yeah, is that June?
Yeah.
You don't have a camera?
Well, I turned it off because, yeah, I just think it's so funny looking at people's interiors and seeing them, you know, in their pajamas and stuff. So I just decided to put that up there. There's this other thing you can do. You can create an avatar with this app called Lumi. And you take a picture of yourself and it actually makes an animated avatar that can speak and do all sorts of human movements. So I'm experimenting with that too.
Well,
What's the name of the site?
Lumi. Lumi. Like
Zoomy?
Loom with an L. Lumi.
Okay.
Okay, June is used to participate in my drawing group before COVID-19 ruined everything and put us all in seclusion. And she was you were an art professor in New York City, right?
Yeah, I worked at SVA, and after that I worked in Philadelphia at a place called University of the Arts. And I taught educational media and visual arts.
So that means I could con you into actually doing one of these sessions, right?
On what subject?
Anything.
It's possible. It's possible. I've been resisting this whole thing because, you know, I told you I spent a lot of time on the screen and I'm sick of it. Anyway, what art have you been working on, DJ?
You probably saw it in my last email. It's I've gone insane again. I've done nudes holding posters like "I will not pose nude" or "I have nothing to wear," and it's basically sort of reminiscent of the 50s pop art. I'm trying to emulate the 50 pop artists who did all the pinup stuff you see in gas station garages in the 50s and early 60s.
Oh, that's so nice.
And it's satire, but I don't know who gets it. The Europeans seem to get it. I can't get the stuff shown in America, but you know. I do all kinds. You know, I do crazy stuff. So I mean, you've seen the rubber duck paintings. But I've noticed this recently online. Saatchi Art is publicizing the hell out of one of my floral paintings, and you know, I have no idea why. But I see that thing all over the internet. I see it on the MSN trailers. It's all over the place. But just to show you how bad things are, I still haven't sold it. So I mean, you know. Anyway.
Well, it doesn't have, you know, the value of you as an artist and the value of your art has nothing to do with sales.
Oh, I know that. But I mean, if I had to make a living at this, I'd be living under a bridge. So, you know, good thing I made a living at something else for a long time, so I had enough money to do this in my old age. So, anyway, I'm still going to wait for a few more people. I was hoping that some of the models would join too. What I'm going to try to do initially, if you know everybody agrees to it, when we get enough people, is to basically go over some of the drawing techniques I use for the first couple classes. Just to review it's a variation of the Riley technique, which seems to be gaining popularity again. But I'm not a rigid Riley guy. I'm sort of loosey-goosey, and I usually start with a gesture, and I measure everything visually, not with a ruler. So it's not like a lot of other drawing techniques like sight size, which Sargent used, where you basically have the model and canvas or the drawing board in the same plane. You back up from the middle of it about 20 feet and you measure something. Then you go to the canvas, you put your mark down, back up again, measure something. There's a lot of these measurement techniques around now, but I mean, they get effective results. It's just that they take forever and you're pretty limited in terms of what you can do. So I'm more of a gesture, starting with a gesture type guy and working as fast as I can. And, you know, you can catch, with this technique, you can catch motion, you can catch animals in play. You can do a lot with it because it's based on gesture. So once you get to the gesture down, you can fill in the details. You know, you can go away and fill in the details. So I figured I'd start with that. And then eventually, if we get enough people, we can actually have a live model for 3 hours, because I do have a couple of models lined up that are willing to do this for donations, but, you know, they'd have to make a certain amount of money. So if that didn't work out, you know, I'd have to cancel that. But I do have models that are interested, and I will give them the, I have about 50 people on this attendance sheet that wanted to participate in this. So hopefully more of them will show up as we go along, and, you know, the models can make some money, because I will let the models run the whole thing. And they have the option of actually running their own private sessions, their own private drawing groups, and I will give them the list of attendees here, so that even if it's not associated with this group, they could still run drawing sessions, because I'm assuming they're starving now because everything in Santa Fe has been shut down. We're still under a semi-lockdown, and I don't know when that's going to end, but the good news is the Santa Fe area doesn't have that many cases. That's the good news.
Can I ask a question? This is Bob Greenus in Arizona,
Sure.
where it's 110 in the shade. What are the economics
Of this? This is
to
great.
allow a model to break even or to make some money?
Typically, I asked, when I thought I had 40 or 50 people, I was asking for a minimum of $5 donation. Typically in Santa Fe, the minimum we pay them is 20 bucks an hour. So when I used to run live drawing groups, it was $60 for 3 hours, but then they have to pay an extra 15 for the extended Zoom time, which is 15 bucks, I think, a month. So they would have to make at least 75 to break even. And it, like I said, there are people that are just interested in drawing from the live model and not interested in this group. So hopefully some of them will attend. But, you know, again, I'm going to coordinate it with the models and see how it goes. I have one model I know will do it initially. She'll give it a try. And again, if she doesn't make enough money, it's, you know, it's going to be over. I've already tried to set this up in the past. If you got any of my emails, and what I did in the past is I was just going to run a live, you know, model drawing group. But the problem was I had like 150, 200 people that were interested initially. And the minute I put a monetary value on it of like 10 bucks, everybody disappeared except for about 10 or 15 people. So it, you know, every time you put money on anything, everybody disappears. So that's the situation right now. But I am going to try to, you know, get something going with one of the models. And what I'll probably do is I'll run a few classes where, you know, we get asked questions, and I'll do some demonstrations on the technique I use. If anybody wants to chip in and do some demonstrations on what they do, that's fine with me. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to really run this loosey-goosey. So again, I don't know how it's going to go. I'm not really that familiar with Zoom. I'm amazed that I actually haven't screwed up yet in terms of just this. So
Well, I had a question about that too.
Sure.
Was I the only one that had trouble getting the calendar invitation?
No. I had 3, 4, 5 people that all had trouble. Then I had a lot of people that didn't have any trouble. So I have no idea what's going on.
Well, so one question is whether you scheduled it through Zoom itself or through, let's say, Outlook.
No, I scheduled it through Zoom. And then I got some emails back from people. I actually sent an earlier email saying that I was going to schedule it through Zoom. Schedule it through Zoom. And then I had people telling me they didn't get the invitation. And then I sent out another email with the the link, the code, and the password.
Right. That reached me, but I know that if you use Outlook, there's a plugin to Outlook that allows you to schedule directly with Outlook, and so you can just put your email list into that, and that works really well. But if you're not using Outlook, then that may
I
not
think
work.
Google Calendar does that too.
Okay, I have Outlook and I have Google. I have both.
So I
I
can
don't-
privately talk you through that if you need to work on
Okay.
that.
I don't have any problem sending out the separate email to people, you know, with the code and the password. That's not, you know.
Yeah, it's just really nice to have it show up in the calendar. So doing a calendar invite is good.
Well, then what I'll do is I'll basically have a separate conference with you about how to do it, because I have those things. I just don't know how to do it. So like I said, this is the first time I've used Zoom. So like I said, I'm amazed that it's gone as well as it has. So. Does anyone else want to add anything?
I was just curious regarding having nude models on the internet and Zoom, because, you know, in the studio situation, the etiquette is not to take photographs with your, you know, with your phone or any other device while you're in a life drawing situation. However, if they're on a screen, you know, it's so simple to take a screenshot of them.
Yeah. Let me answer that. The first model I'm going to use actually has already done the Zoom, and they've basically done that to her, where they've taken a screenshot and posted it online. Again, I have no idea how to stop that. Although, if you do pay for some the extended Zoom time, so you actually are paying in, they do have some sort of control on that. And like I said, I'll talk to her and see how I'll work that out with her. I think there is a way to stop that. I'm assuming that anybody that's participating in this is going to be, you know, an artist that's ethical and won't basically be taking photographs of the model. So, but like I said, I do have models that have already done this, and they've dealt with it. So I will, you know, talk to them about it.
Well, you also said that you were posting, might post those on YouTube. So I guess the same issue would be.
Well, I'm trying now. I think I don't have to post them on YouTube. I'm recording it right now. The way I'm going to post it, I'd have to post it somewhere that only people that are in this group could view it.
Okay.
And I probably could do that on my YouTube site. I just don't know how to do it yet. And there's other sites that I can actually post it on where I can do this.
Well, Zoom itself has a personal. You can record to either your personal computer or to the cloud. I don't know if cloud is available for the free subscriptions or not, but that gives you a private site where you can send the link out just to the members in the.
I have that option on my this system I have now. Well, I can actually record it to my computer, and it's already uploaded to the cloud through OneDrive. So I do have it on. It is on the cloud, so on OneDrive.
So you can share that, you know.
I could share that directly. I mean, I'm assuming I could do that, and that would save me time and
better
effort
than YouTube, right?
putting it on YouTube. So I really don't want to put it on YouTube. But
Yeah.
There are people in time zones that can't participate, and they want to be part of it. But again, I'll probably need help working that out. But I think once this is over, we can try to see if people can access this session on the cloud.
Do you have an idea yet what the time will be when you want to offer this? Or do you have-
I'm basically free almost anytime. I mean, I could do this anytime you want. I do have people all over the world that are interested in it, and I'm assuming that, you know, I'm going to have to work around a time frame that's convenient for most people in the United States. And if I could record it someplace, then they could catch this. They could basically get the sessions on the cloud.
Yeah. I think demos are very important. If you know, to see that would be great. To have like
I don't
a
have any
model.
problem doing it. I love doing demos. I mean,
Yeah, I think that
I
would be
used to love
wonderful.
teaching, so.
Yeah, that would be great. I think that people.
And it is a technique that seems to be gaining popularity again. And it's not as easy as some of the measurement, the physical measurement techniques, which are, again, really popular now, particularly in the LTAs by some of the better known artists in the country. The Rally technique, he educated a whole, mob of illustrators from the 40s through probably the 90s. Riley died in 68, and he died suddenly from an aneurysm. So nothing that he taught was actually, he was in the process of writing 3 or 4 books, and none of them ever got published. And what you'll see online are a lot of his students, the notes from the Riley lectures, but you can't really understand them because it's just not the same as someone actually publishing a book. But one book that I do suggest, although it costs a fortune now to get, is a book by Jack Ferragasso called Figure Drawing something or other. People are interested, I can give you the link. If you go Google his name, you'll find the book. And it used to be $25, $30 when I bought it like 25, 30 years ago. It's now like anywhere from $125 to $200. And it's probably the best book on the technique in terms of all the nuts and bolts. I use it as a reference, but that's about it because, like I said, I've taken a lot of what Riley did and I've sort of simplified it into a gesture type approach where I build on the gesture using his techniques. But the other thing that I always stressed in the classes, and I didn't believe this for a long time until I saw it over and over and over again with students, and probably maybe some of you that are teachers or professors can tell me the same thing, is that between the 3rd and 4th session, I used to run 6, 7 sessions, 3 hours each session, consecutive weeks. And what I saw is after about the first 3 or 4 sessions, these students would make a gigantic jump in their abilities to draw. And some of them would take longer, some would take 6 or 7 sessions, but they always made this big jump. And I ask them, well, you've been practicing? And they tell me, no. You've been listening to what I've been teaching you? Well, sort of. And so I could never understand how the hell they were making these huge jumps when they didn't practice, they didn't listen, and the only time they were drawing is when they came to class. It turns out that apparently, you stop using the right side of your brain that much when you're 8 or 9 years old, and you start using the left side, the logical side. A lot of these people hadn't used the right side in terms of the visual side in a long time. And just by this 3-hour session every week, they started using the right side of their brain, and they started actually seeing what was really there. And now with the logical, the left side was trying to convince them was there. And they'd have a huge improvement. And I saw this, year after year after, and I never could understand it until I read this book where by an artist that said, this is what was happening. And so then I became a firm believer in this idea that you had to really start using the right side of your brain. And the other thing I noticed, and again, this happened by accident, I'm legally blind in one eye. So I used to always draw with one eye. And basically my bad eye I used to always close. And it turns out bifocal vision also screws you up. It basically gives you, it sort of fools you into believing that what you're seeing it from 2 angles. So it's sort of like a Picasso painting where you're seeing it from different views. So it turned out just by accident, by drawing with one eye, I was actually more accurate than people that were drawing with 2 eyes, because I'd have someone sitting right next to me, years ago when we would be drawing from a live model, and they'd see something entirely different from what I was seeing. And so that's sort of what I've boiled all this stuff down to in terms of the techniques that I'm teaching, but they're really fundamentally based on the Riley technique. I studied under a Riley student named Caesar Borgia, if you can believe that, who was a real character. He was a machine gunner in World War II. He survived. He was about 5'2" and crazy. He used to chase half his students away. I studied under him for 12 years. And so that's where I picked up the Riley technique and some of also the painting techniques that he used in the color palette, which that Riley used. And then a lot of the other stuff I used in terms of painting, I actually picked up, believe it or not, from Helen Van Wyck on PBS in terms of the techniques that I use. Technique is really where I basically work the painting of the drawing. I work the entire thing at the same time, and I basically build it up in layers. But I work the entire figure drawing and the entire painting all at once, as opposed to some techniques where they finish one area and then they go to the next area and finish that, and they go to the next area and finish that. So I never used any of those techniques. I mean, those are fine for some people, but they never really suited my personality. And for years, I was looking for someone to teach me classical techniques. And, you know, when I found this guy in White Plains, New York, I mean, it was like a gold mine. And he had studied under Rowley in the 50s and 60s and was actually one of his people that ran the classes, particularly when Rowley split off and ran his own school. But then he died suddenly, like I said, and nothing that he was teaching was ever recorded. But I mean, some of the students that he had were James Bama, Clark Hewlings. I mean, a lot of the really famous Western painters out here basically were former Rowley students. And some of the models, I mean, Betty Page was one of the models that all these guys used back in the early 50s and early 60s before she was famous as a pinup star. So it's got quite a history. It goes all the way back to Sargent because he taught at the Art Students League in New York, which was initially founded by Sargent. And a lot of the techniques that or some of the Rowley techniques are based on the accumulation of drawing history over 400 or 500 years. I mean, Rowley studied under Bridgman and you know, and some of the Boston school painters that actually taught at the Art Students League in New York in the 20s and 30s and 40s. But Rowley was like the key guy there for a long time, and his classes used to be, you know, you had to wait 3 years to get into one, and you have 200 or 300 people in each class. But a lot of his techniques are really, you know, almost like math. I mean, you know, like math, dealing with mathematics. But I've sort of simplified it down to more of a gesture technique and more of a visually measuring technique, and working the entire, like if I do a figure, I work the entire figure at once. So. And that's what I demonstrate if, you know, people are interested. Does anyone else have anything to say? Or like I said, this is an open group. Anybody could basically teach a class or discuss something or do whatever they want during one of the sessions. We just set it up through the, you know, through the Zoom meeting. And what you could do is you can all separately go off and tell me what time frame would be good for you. And I'll probably, you know, like I said, I could run this at any time. It really doesn't matter to me when I run it.
If you have trouble getting models that are willing to do nude on the internet, would there be a problem with the artists to you know, do it clothed like with a bodysuit or something like that?
No, I'll agree to anything in terms of just getting people to, you know, have something to draw from that's actually a live figure. I mean, I could set up drawings that I've done that we could work from online, but it's not the same.
Yeah, I have a friend that does live modeling around Atlanta, and she's actually started doing Zoom sessions, but you know, various types of clothing. But recently she's been using a bodysuit, and that seems to work pretty well. That gives you most of the information.
Yeah, that would be fine with me. Like I said, again, I can't guarantee the donations.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on how many people. Like I said, it's really hard even squeezing $5 out of people nowadays. I mean, it's like I said, it's really, you got a lot of interest, but then as soon as you put even a small amount of money on the sessions or on the modeling, I mean, they all disappear. So, but we could, you know, like I said, we could try it. I mean, even if there's 6 of us and we give the model $10 each, you know, it'll probably work to some level. Models still have to pay for the Zoom, but if she's doing a lot of other Zoom groups, then it'll all work out for her. And like I said, the models in Santa Fe, that's my crazy dog. The models in Santa Fe are starving right now, so any way I could help them out and, you know, let them make some money is fine with me. Initially, I was going to collect all the money and split it with the models, but then I figured that didn't work out, so I just let the models run everything and take all the money. So, any other questions?
I think the key to making a Zoom session like that work is if you're available to instruction.
Oh no, I'll be there.
Because most sessions that I've seen, you you know, it's just the model. With my friend, for example, she just poses and then everybody does their own thing.
Oh, no.
And
I would.
I've realized that it would be very helpful, I think, to a lot of us to have your instruction.
Yeah, what I would do is I would coordinate it. I would basically coordinate the whole thing with the model. I'd tell her, you know, what the lighting would be, what the sequence of timing of poses would be. I would time everything. I'd be right there, but I'd be one of the participants. The model would run it. She'd run the Zoom meeting, but I would be there basically running the model, essentially, telling, you know, the breaks, the timing. I wouldn't tell her what poses to do. I never did it in any of the classes that are groups that I ran. The models that I have lined up are really, really good, and they're professionals. But again, you know, like I said, the key is getting more people. If any of you have any friends that want to basically, even if they're not interested in joining this, if they just want to draw from the live model, it may take a few sessions of this with me running over some of my techniques, so I get some idea of the number of people we have, and that the models will actually make enough money to make it worth their while. And right now, I'm basically running the Zoom thing, the basic thing, which is free. So I'm kind of limited to 30 or 40, I think 40 minutes. I think this session's for 30 minutes. But anyway, the model session would have to run for 3 hours because we'd go through the standard poses of short to long poses. Typically, when I ran it in the past, it was 5 4-minute poses, then I guess 2 10-minute poses, and then two 45-minute poses with breaks for the model, and you know, it adds up to about 3 hours. And like I said, I would coordinate with the model. You know, it would be structured and run in you know, in that way. It wouldn't just be the model throwing different poses. But the model would be picking her own poses, and these models, like I said, are professional. They, if you go on any of my websites, you can see some of the drawings, the more recent ones. These are the models that I'm using. You can see the poses that they throw. Any other questions? It's also, I don't know how many of you that came in. I think most of you came in from the Udemy site. Udemy basically won't let me advertise. There is a drawing manual that I've had out there for 10 years. Anyone that's interested in it, I'll send you a link to Lulu where you can actually get it. It used to be the cheapest place where you can get it, which was I think a $10 download and $25 for the hard copy. I used to see it on Amazon and eBay for like anywhere from $30 to $70. Now recently on Amazon UK, I've seen it for $7.50, and it's the second printing of the drawing manual, which is from Lulu. So I don't understand how they're doing it, because they have to buy it from Lulu, and it's $25 from Lulu, yet they're selling it through Amazon Prime for $7.50. And that's a steal. And it's sort of, again, it's the version that I teach. And if you really want the real nitty gritty, you'd have to go to I would suggest the Ferragasso book, but that's a fortune. I mean, like I said, I bought it for $25-30 25 years ago, but now it's over $125. In some places they want $200 for it. So.
What's the name of the manual you were talking about from Lulu?
It's called Figure Drawing from Life Using the Rally Technique. It's the standard, same thing as my video course, but it's on Lulu, and I'll send you, just email me and I'll send you the link. You know, I mean, you don't have to try and find it. And I have 2 versions of it. One, the original version, I basically made myself for my students. And I still see that online too, but they want a fortune for that one. And the one that I published on Lulu, which is a self-publication thing about 6-7 years ago, it's still there. I mean, and I've never really changed the prices on it. The cheapest way to get it is the ebook download. It's $10. The hard copy is $25. But again, like if you go online, it used to be much more expensive. You try to go through eBay or Amazon, and I don't know where they're getting. Particularly the original ones, I have no idea where they got them. But I'm still amazed that last night I went in and I saw on Amazon UK, Amazon Prime, they wanted $7.50 for it. So I have no idea how they're doing that. I mean, they're taking a loss somehow. And that's probably the best deal. I mean, the other book that I would suggest again is Ferragasso. Okay. I'm going to probably get out now because I just went over my 30-minute time limit. So just send me an email. Let me know what times you think would be good. And I'm going to try and set up a meeting next week again for 30 minutes and just start off and go through some of the basic techniques that I use in terms of the drawing. In terms of starting with a gesture and then building on it. I mean, I could actually do a full figure for one of my drawings in 30 minutes. So it's no big deal. And I could talk as I'm doing it. I don't have any problem talking while I'm drawing or painting. So,
I'd like to invite, I have a son there in Santa Fe. I'll send out a link to him too. This. He works for that Meow Wolf out there.
Oh, good. Well, just tell him anybody that wants to basically be part of it, just tell them to send me an email and I'll put them on the list.
All right.
So I guess I could sign out if I remember. How do I sign out? Does anyone know?
Should be a big red button somewhere.
Yeah,
Big-
Kind of in the lower right corner.
I see it end. Okay, guys, hopefully we'll have more people next week. I know there's a lot of people. Oh, there's someone waiting. Who's waiting? Okay, I just admitted someone else. You're kind of late. Sorry, we're almost ready to close. Arlene?
Yes, sorry about
Okay.
that.
No problem, but this is going to be, I'm recorded everything, so hopefully the whole meeting, I will send it out in an email, let you know how to get access to the meeting. It's either going to be, I think, in the cloud or through Zoom somehow, but I'll try to figure it out. Anyone that could help me on that, let me know. But like I said, let me try to see what I can do with the, I did record it, so.
Okay,
And I'm
great.
gonna have to end it soon. And hopefully, again, we'll do it next week, and I'll basically do a demonstration for 30 minutes. And then you could ask me questions while I'm doing it. And also with the drawing group, what I said, I'm not only will I structure it and run it, even though the model will basically run the Zoom part of it. After that's over, I will critique any of your work that you want, and we can either do it as a group or I'll do it privately. You basically just set up a Zoom meeting, and I'll look at your work and tell you what I think. And this is an art school. I remember one of the first workshops I taught. 4 women came to me after I taught the first class and asked me if I was going to make them cry, and I didn't understand what the hell they were talking about. And so, apparently in art school, the professors are frustrated artists that take it out on their students. I never went that route. I had an entirely different career for 35 years before I basically became a full-time artist. And like I said, I studied under this guy, Cesar Borgia, who was nuts, in White Plains for 12 years. So I was used to verbal abuse. So that doesn't happen on this with this group. So I just want to help. I will help you try to get better at drawing. So anyway. Let me get out of here before they start charging me money. And so we'll set up another meeting next week. And I will record, this is recorded, I'm just gonna try to figure out how to send it to you. I can't send an email, it'll take too much time, but I'll figure something out, Dropbox or something, so. Okay, folks, see you next week, and I'll set something up for next week. Hopefully,
Thanks.
more people.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.